Shall we get into this Georgia game that is of the highest stakes this weekend in Neyland Stadium? And it really is a high stakes matchup when you've got College Game Day in town and the A team on the broadcast. You've got Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler, Holly Rowe all in town for this game. Even though it's a 3:30 game, they usually do the night game instead, but that's Florida and LSU. I guess Florida taking the loss to USF last week and Louisiana Tech hanging around with LSU made them not want to do that game. I don't know. But yes, you've got all of those people in town. Still don't know who the guest picker is just yet for this game. I'm sure we'll find out here pretty soon. I've heard it is probably not going to be Morgan Wallen. I've seen a few different people submitted as potential guests this time around. Would imagine it's probably not going to be Peyton Manning just because he's done it one or two times recently. Even though I do love him on broadcast, like the Manning cast is an awesome thing. You should absolutely watch it when you're done watching us. Now, as far as other contenders go, I guess Dolly Parton's still out there. You could potentially get her. Please don't do Kenny Chesney. Kenny Chesney is not a real Tennessee fan. We disowned him like a long time ago. It's been at least 10 years since we disowned him from the fan base. So hopefully he will not be there this time around to make the pick for Tennessee. But I've seen some other names floating around too.
I saw a really fun one.
Which one?
Johnny Knoxville, man. I would absolutely love it if he ended up being one of the guest pickers.
Oh, yeah. It'd be a good one, too. You could get him. What about Quentin Tarantino, Knoxville native?
Yeah.
You could get him. You could get him on the set with you. There's one other one that I saw. Oh, the guy from Severance that graduated from Tennessee.
Oh,
Get his name.
That's a great show, by the way, if you haven't checked into it.
I've not watched it. I'm sure a lot of you watching this have. I don't really watch things on TV that aren't sports, but yeah, that's another pretty worthy mention, I would say, just because of he's a trendy pick, I would say, to make the pick because they had Peyton the last time, and then Bianca Belair, the WWE girl who did track at Tennessee. I think it was track, but those are just some potential guest pickers for Tennessee. So let's get to the game itself. Tennessee. The line keeps creeping toward Tennessee in this game. It was Georgia 6.5 a while ago. I think it moved 3 more points today, which is interesting. It kind of feels like both teams or both fan bases, I should say, are not super optimistic about their odds in this game. Tennessee, it's like, well, how good is Syracuse really? And even in that Syracuse game, there were some glaring issues that need to be fixed. And then Georgia, it's like we haven't played anybody. They look like they have an offense, and that could be problematic for us going into Neyland Stadium for the first time in a while. Now, I will say this about the series. Of course, Tennessee is on a prolonged losing streak, have not won since 2016, the famous Hail Mary down there in Sanford Stadium. And in the Heupel era, we've not seen Tennessee score more than 17 points in a game against Georgia. The only semi-competitive matchups between Tennessee and Georgia since this streak started have been in Athens and not in Knoxville. It's kind of like the long streak Tennessee had against Alabama when the blowouts were happening in Knoxville, and if you were going to get a closer game, it was going to be in Tuscaloosa. So need to see some progress from Tennessee on the offensive side in this game if I am going to believe at any point that they're going to win. It feels like, it's just a lot of different versions of the same game. Tennessee gets off to a nice start, and then you get to the second quarter, like midway through, and it's gone suddenly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen enough from Georgia this year to really get a good idea of how they're going to be in this game. But I will say it seems like ever since Kirby Smart's been at Georgia, one of the things that's had them play competitive against Tennessee is quarterback play. which I'm not 100% believer in Gunnar Stockton yet. And I think that we've seen with Miami and Carson Beck, I mean, he's been playing pretty well so far. And it seemed like every time he played against Tennessee, he would have the best game of his entire season. So, I mean, I almost wonder, I mean, with Georgia not having as good of a quarterback as they've had in years past, if Tennessee can, maybe get the upset in this game. Like, I'm feeling a lot more confident about this Georgia game than I did going into the season. And as I was mentioning a little bit earlier, it's weird seeing some of these teams that we thought, I mean, they still could, don't get me wrong, but some of these big teams that we were worried about going into the season seems to be more human than we thought. Like, we've already seen Alabama get handled by Florida State. We watched Florida lose to USF. And as we mentioned earlier, Georgia only scored 28 points against Austin Peay. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee finally gets it done against Georgia in this game. And I think one of the big keys, like as I've been mentioning these past 2 weeks, I mean, Tennessee's offensive line's been playing well. I think if Tennessee can run the football effectively against Georgia and Joey Aguilar doesn't create any turnovers, then I think Tennessee's got a good shot of winning this game. But then again, like I said, we don't know enough from Georgia, but we will find out after this weekend.
One other note we should mention about this, Big John Henderson is being honored at halftime for his College Football Hall of Fame induction. So want to put on a show for Big John. I think we should keep that in the back of our heads as Tennessee is playing this game. So here are my thoughts on this game right now, just with what we've seen from Georgia. And the samples aren't great, right? You've got a 45-7 win over a Marshall team with 75 new players on its roster, brand new coaching staff, and a 28-6 win over Austin Peay in what was kind of a weird weather game. There are some mixed opinions in Athens, as there probably should be. I watched a little bit of Brooks Austin's film study today to kind of prepare myself for this a little bit. Defensively, they've been holding teams to around 200 yards a game. I don't know if they'll be able to do that against Tennessee just because they're way better than Marshall and Austin Peay, but you're off to a good start defensively. On offense, they're running the ball fine. They ran for, I think, 190 last week against Austin Peay, which is not lighting the world on fire, but it's still pretty good. I mean, I'd say if you can get over 160 in a game on the ground, you're having a pretty good day. They block really well. They do block really well. Their offensive line's been looking good. They did lose a couple fumbles in that game against Austin Peay, which is something they got to fix. As far as the quarterback situation goes with Gunnar Stockton, he's not playing like a first-round quarterback in the NFL draft. He's playing a lot like a game manager. They're not doing anything overly complicated with him right now. And I think that's something you got to take advantage of. Like, I don't have a ton of keys for this game just yet because, again, we don't know enough about Georgia right now to really formulate any informed opinions, I guess you could say. But one thing, and I get it, there is a different group of supporting cast and characters on both sides of the ball for Georgia offensively and the Tennessee defensively. But if I had to give you one key right now, bring the heat. You got to bring the heat this year because that's what cost you in Athens last season. Carson Beck also helped it a little bit that his receivers did not have their cases of the dropsies over the course of that game in Athens last season. But I want to say Tennessee had like one TFL that entire game, no sacks on Carson Beck, who had been lit up the week before by Ole Miss. So you've got to find a way to get into the backfield more than you did last year. And there is some concern about that potentially just with the injuries to Tennessee in the front seven, which, by the way, we won't discuss any injuries on this show tonight other than Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson because they will be out this week, and we know that. But they will have an availability report for the first time, this time on Wednesday night. I believe they come out at 7 Central Time, so keep your eyes out for that when it comes out. But any injuries could be a detriment to what could be an effective game for this pass rush, and they need it to be because having too much of a clean pocket is just it's going to hurt you against a team like Georgia.
Yeah, I mean Tennessee's for sure going to have to get healthy against Georgia. I mean, even if they haven't seemingly been that impressive through the first 2 games of the year, I mean, we do know that Georgia gets it right more often than they get things wrong. So Tennessee's going to have everything going right in this game to want to win against Georgia. But I will say, I mean, just reading like the box scores from some of these games, I mean, it doesn't seem like Georgia has that one it factor on offense. I mean, I'm seeing in the last game, Colby Young, he had 76 receiving yards, which is pretty good. But I mean, the leading rusher only had 69 yards. He did get 2 touchdowns. They had 2 running backs with 2 touchdowns. But I mean, they didn't have a single passing touchdown in the game. And I know that you did mention that it was raining earlier. I didn't get to see too much of the game, so I don't know how much that was playing a factor, but I'm sure it did factor into the game. But I mean, I don't think Georgia has that one guy on offense to worry about like they've had in years past. I mean, especially back when like Brock Bowers was there, you always had to keep an eye on him. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee's had a little bit of injury problems, especially in the Syracuse game. And I think Tennessee still can get the job done without McCoy and without Gibson, but they can't afford to lose any more defensive backs. And I think the defensive line got a little bit healthier last week, but we're going to need them to stay in the game too as well. And I'm just hoping for a breakout game from Joshua Josephs here. I think this could be a good game for him to really get noticed by NFL scouts and get noticed by the national media. I mean, if he gets after it during this game, I think there'll be a lot more talks for him going into the year. And one thing that I really liked about him a lot is he can stop the run too, in addition to being a good pass rusher. So, I mean, I think Tennessee's defense, I still think that they're good so far, but we will really see when Georgia comes into town.
Yeah, so looking at my trusty magazine here for Georgia, I am seeing that they did portal very hard at wide receiver. Colby Young from Miami is one name to keep an eye on. Zachariah Branch from USC, another one to take a look at. Noah Thomas from Texas A&M, tall, rangy receiver at 6'5", 205. He's no Brock Bowers, but they do have a good tight end in Oscar Delp, who's been in the program now for 4 seasons. The offensive line is a lot of newcomers, but they have looked good so far. I mean, it's the same thing with Tennessee. A lot of guys that were new to the program, but they are looking very good on the offensive line. And then defensively, I just trust Kirby Smart to have a good defense most seasons. I know they were somewhat lackluster last season, but overall, I mean, they still did a good job on the defensive end. And it's going to be a tough out for Tennessee, absolutely. Before we go, Jordan, would you like to try and nail a score prediction?
Oh man, it's so hard for this game because there's so much we don't know from both teams. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. I honestly, I think Tennessee wins, and I think they do it only by 3 points. So maybe 31-28. That might be my final prediction.
A lot of points. That's a lot of points for Georgia.
Yeah.
To be given up.
I guess that's a good point, but I know they've done well at scoring points against Tennessee in years past, but I don't know. Hopefully it'd be less than that. Well, what's your prediction for the game?
Yeah, I asked the question. I don't have a great answer for you right now. Here's the funny thing. I have almost nailed the margins of victory for Tennessee the first 2 weeks. I've just been way off on the point totals. I thought Tennessee would win by 17 week 1. They won by 19. Thought they win by 56 this past week. They won by 55. The thing is, I just thought they would be much lower scoring games than they were. I think my total for Syracuse was 37. It was 71. My total this week, I think, was 62. Ended up being 89. So I am way off on my point totals, unfortunately. But this is very hard because here's the thing. The last couple times Tennessee has beaten Alabama, I've actually picked Alabama to beat Tennessee, and it hasn't happened. I'm kind of feel like I should pick Georgia to win and see if it happens. A little reverse psychology, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, we'll go 24-20 Georgia, but it'll probably flip itself on its head now that I said that. Maybe, hopefully.
I sure hope so. I think the game's going to be extremely loud. I think this is going to be the closest game that we've seen against Georgia in a while. I know. I just feel it in my heart. Whether or not Tennessee wins or not, I think it's going to be a game that comes down to the fourth quarter.